if we could create food without agricultural land, without soil? And what if we can make it drastically more efficient?
That's basically our mission at Farmless, to decouple protein production from agricultural land. We do that using natural fermentation to create a product that is very high in protein, that is super nutritious. So right now, of all the habitable land that we can use, 40% is eaten up by animal agriculture to create proteins. So we said, what if we could create proteins in a completely new way without the need for agricultural land? Because the current system is very inefficient with very serious consequences for the planet.
We know that we have technologies that are much better in capturing energy. And if we make a good comparison to solar, right, we have an efficiency of like 22 to 25%, but we're very bad at creating complex, tasty, organic proteins from scratch. That's very hard. Like, we can't do that through chemistry, but nature can make those things very well.
If we have 100% sunlight, only 0.15% to 0.25% is turned into plant proteins. And not all of that is edible, so you're left with like 0.05 to 0.1% of proteins that are edible plant proteins. Then if we feed that to animals, it's an incredibly inefficient, wasteful process, right? Insultingly, actually. So then 99.999% of all of sunlight's energy is wasted.
Fermentation is actually a really ancient technology that humans have been using for thousands of years to make food. And the average person actually has quite a lot of experience, right? At least with the end products of fermentation. So if we think about beer, which everybody loves beer, it's actually a fermentation process, right? It's yeast taking sugar and turning that into alcohol. We have selected a microbe that we're using and scaling now, and in just a day, we can grow it to high density and dry it down to a powder. And that powder is 70 to 80% protein and has a more favorable amino acid profile for human consumption than plant sources of protein or whey.
So at this scale, we optimize a lot of the parameters. And just to give you an idea, within one day, basically, if you have like this volume, 1/5 of that would be the protein equivalent of meat. Here you actually see the product, which is between 6 to 80% protein, highly nutritious. And then once this is done, we analyze it, we look at its nutritional content, and we look at its functionalities. So in the kitchen, we play around with it and understand like what we can make with it and how it behaves.
Black,
White,
left,
right,
up,
down,
yes,
no,
picture,
word,
1,
0. Our quintillion operations per second of computational power is still built on binary inputs. AI sees and hears. It processes words and pictures. All that is our pale blue dot. Reduced to the most basic of inputs, leaving our technologies without a sense of the physical world. So AI sees and hears. But what if it could feel? What if it could sense? What if it could perceive? What if it could go beyond simulating and start stimulating? What if we could bridge the gap between matter and machines? What if machines could do more than ask, what if? And what if it was happening already? It is. Bridging the gap between matter and machine to bring science to its senses. Apoha, going beyond binary.
So what we're doing at Trilobio is we're building biology labs with our modular Trilobots to fully automate the fields of molecular and synthetic biology so that biologists around the world can share their experiments as code that they can download and run instantly with the click of a button, effectively mitigating the reproducibility crisis entirely. When I was around 14, I really wanted to learn genetic engineering to have a massive positive impact on the world. So I ended up showing up to a interest meeting at a university for a genetically engineered machines research team. And they eventually let me onto the team. I then went on to Harvey Mudd, where I studied mathematical and computational biology. And throughout my time doing this research, I would see professors, PhD students, and undergrads start these incredible research projects that could have a massive impact on the world, but then end up abandoning them because of human error. Right now, biologists are doing a ton of manual labor. Most biology labs have no automation at all, just doing really repetitive work for most of their time. With Trilobots on the market, full automation will be normal. It will be crazy to think that a biologist ever held a pipette. They'll be able to control their labs from behind a computer and accelerate the amount of experiments that they're doing and unlock billions of hours a year of experimental execution time. Each Trilobot is a cube and it has a robot arm in it. Each one can hold 8 different tools, and each tool serves a function that a biologist does manually in their lab. And a single Trilobot therefore can do the function of 8 different machines in one robot. And each Trilobot can snap together with another Trilobot and transfer materials between each other.
A lot of the teams trying to do important work like this come from one discipline or another, and it's either a roboticist trying to learn about biology or a biologist trying to figure out how the hell the damn robots work. The fact that not even just Roya and Max separately, but 2 of them together are subject matter experts in the whole thing synthesized together makes them kind of the only people who are going to be able to solve this problem.
With a Trilobot-enabled lab, a biologist can walk away from their machines and have them run overnight and expand the amount of research and data that they're able to get for their critical work.
All of the great things that have ever happened in our civilization's history have happened as a result of brilliant people being able to do more with their time, with their thoughts, with their energy and effort. Trilobio is going to be a force multiplier for the thinking and the doing that biologists and other scientists can apply to solving really important problems that are literally killing people right now, or at a minimum making their days really bad.
Trilobio is creating a paradigm shift in the fields of molecular and synthetic biology that will lead to an explosion of research advances.
Hi, we are Spark eFuels. Our product is nothing less than a sustainable aviation fuel. We developed a process that is able to directly access green intermittent wind and solar energy, and that at the location where they occur.
To make the sustainable fuel happen, we need to transfer the technologies and ideas from the lab to the field.
The main challenge of our generation is to limit the impact of climate change. Unfortunately, some sectors are really hard to abate. Aviation is one of them. That's why our mission at Spark eFuels is to enable fully sustainable aviation. eFuels is the best solution for this. Unfortunately, eFuels are still very expensive and not really available. This is why we developed a unique process to significantly bring down cost by directly accessing renewable electricity. With this, we will be able to unlock fully sustainable aviation for everyone.
For the production, we take sustainable CO2 and hydrogen and combine them to make a hydrocarbon crude product that can then be upgraded and directly used in today's infrastructure and airplanes.
We are going to show the full value chain from solar electricity all the way to sustainable kerosene. That means electrons from photovoltaics all the way to on-spec kerosene that can be tanked into a plane.
Chemistry is the science of transformation. I'm just immensely motivated by bridging the gap between transforming molecules to transforming value chains and industries.
To make the world sustainable, we have to reinvent the whole energy and transport industry. This is a huge challenge, but also a huge opportunity for our generation.
With our technology, team and network, we have everything to make a real change. We at Spark are excited to build a green future and make Spark a leader in sustainable aviation. Let's join forces to make a real impact.
We are going to need more copper between now and 2050 than humans have ever used in the history of human civilization. 70% of copper deposits are locked in low-grade ores. Now, there's really not a way to get to that using existing technologies. So what we do is we employ microbes, nature's oldest miners, to get to that ore more sustainably. Dr. Liz Dennett, CEO and founder of Endolith. One I get a lot is that mining is dirty and that it really is at odds with sustainability. But the reality is, when we think about things like electrification, when you flip on the lights, when you charge your electric car, when you charge your cell phone, all that's powered by copper. It is the best conductor that is a non-precious metal. For context, things like wind turbines need 4 to 5 tons of copper per turbine, and electric cars use 4 to 5 times more copper than their internal combustion engine counterparts. So when we think about grid electrification, and we think about moving forward towards the clean energy transition, copper is really at the backbone of absolutely all of it. And when you actually look at who benefits most from grid electrification, it's women and children. Women tend to get better educational outcomes and children tend to live longer. This is all in developing countries. So having access to more copper means that grid electrification is a reality for all people. It is a just energy transition. What we do at Endolith is we take microbes, nature's oldest miners. Microbes have had billions of years of evolution to figure out how to solve all kinds of processes. They've been mining the metals out of rocks for billions of years. And by doing that, they're able to liberate things like copper into solution. So instead of looking at how we can pour more chemicals into rocks or more enzymes into rocks, we actually deploy microbes. We turn them into these little Olympic superheroes using techniques like adaptive laboratory evolution. That means that our microbes can go in environments that otherwise might seem pretty extreme. Places that have high arsenic, places that have limited fresh water, and that means that instead of having to compromise on things like deploying fresh water that ultimately might need to go to humans or be potable, we can really look at ways we can be sustainable. I grew up in a little town in Alaska, and growing up, there were frequently times when we had big storms, we didn't have access to electricity. My parents still live there, and they don't have access to electricity. It's really easy when we think about this energy transition to think about people in far-off lands or in different continents, but the reality is it's in our backyard. When we look at Houston, for example, where I used to live, Houston has had massive issues with its grid, and you can actually point to areas that have more grid instability, and those overlay with Black and brown communities. Furthermore, in developing countries, when we have access to more electricity, that means that women and children do benefit disproportionately. So it really does ensure that this rising tide lifts all ships. And this is not 10, 20 years off. This is 2 or 3 or 5 years off. So being able to have a sliver of that, even a small, some might say microbial perspective, and being able to drive that is huge. And we're really proud of being a player at that. Our impact journey has been really rewarding. We recently closed an oversubscribed seed round with some of the best partners out there, but it's also been incredibly challenging. Less than 2% of all venture capital goes to solo female founders. If I had a white male founder, that number would be 20%. The numbers are even worse for Black and brown founders. And it's been very interesting going through that, trying to make a difference, using my PhD and my 20 years of experience in the energy sector, and being hit by a lot of misconceptions just based on how I look and act, while trying to grow a company that represents a very diverse cross-section of America that can benefit from the energy transition. We were recently named a top innovator alongside a cohort of 12 other startups, and this is an incredible group of startups. We are working all along the value chain, not just with copper, but a range of other critical minerals. To us, honestly, it's a lot of external validation. Our team is 12 people. We're relatively small and we're in Denver. We are more than 50% female. We have a lot of diverse backgrounds and in a space where a lot of people don't necessarily look or talk or act like us. Mining companies, for instance, are typically less than 15% female. More broadly, it enables us to engage with a different echelon of customers, to have a seat at the table. I have been at receptions and sharing meals with some very, very impressive people, having actual real conversations about funding transformative technologies, about scaling up, about making a difference. Being able to have my voice heard and represent my company and all the work that we've been doing has been fantastic.
Planetary produces everyday foods and materials locally, cheap, and of outstanding quality. No fossil fuels, animal suffering, or heavy CO2 emissions are required in the process.
So, how do we do it? The answer is by fermenting sugars into protein. Welcome to our fermentation site here in Switzerland. Let me show you around. In these tanks, we're converting sugar and molasses into protein.
Turning, for example, molasses into protein generates 20 times more value whilst reducing emissions, water, and land use. Here, we produce thousands of tons of high-quality, high-value mycoprotein annually. Mycoprotein is a tasty, nutritious, high-fiber and sustainable superfood that can be incorporated into a variety of dishes. Our customers are food producers, retailers, food service providers, and ingredient distributors. Planetary's mycoprotein is used as meat and dairy replacement, as powdered protein fortification, and is also rich in dietary fibers, including beta-glucans.
If you're a sugar producer or an agro-industrial player, we'd like to talk to you and explore how to turn your side streams into value-added foods and materials. Because sugars and starches aren't just for sweeteners anymore. They're the fuel of the bioeconomy and a sustainable future. Let's build this future together.